I'm joined by Fox UFC analyst and the UFC middleweight champion, Michael the Count Bisping. Michael, thanks for your time, appreciate it.
My pleasure, happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, as you know, we're in Canada, so you know what to expect from the first question. Before we get into all these great fights this coming weekend, is there still life to this GSP fight?
I don't know. Honestly, I want to fight George. I respect George so much, I really do. Of course, he's a big draw. It would be a big fight, would generate a lot of money. That's obviously a big part of why I want to do this fight. Another part is because it's Georges St-Pierre, the most dominant champion, a true legend of the sport, a true martial artist that I actually have a lot of respect for. I know I talked a lot of trash at the press conference, but that's what I do. We're going to fight. I like to make it fun. You know, I like to talk a bit of but I respect George, of course I do, so I hope the fight still happens. I'm starting to lose faith though. George is saying he still wants to fight me. I'm saying I still want to fight him. The UFC are saying it's not happening. I spoke to Dana. Dana says that George doesn't want to fight. I'm hearing from George's camp that that's not true, but as UFC 213, 213 gets close, you know, if this fight isn't finalized by the weekend, which is in a couple of days, then I, as a man, can't not agree. I can't agree to fight the winner of that fight, you know, so because of this, I am losing faith.
Right, so you feel that until there's an interim title, that's the time where you'd have to make that fight, because as soon as that interim champion is crowned, they're first in line.
Well, pretty much, yeah. I mean, I still think there is a chance that the GSP fight happens, but yeah, you know, come Saturday, I'm working as an analyst, so the winner of that fight, of the interim belt, will come up to the desk. I'm assuming there'll be a bit of back and forth, there'll be some fireworks, and I, as a man, as a fighter, and as a champion, can't sit there and say, no, I won't fight you. So the only way I will say that is if I have a fight lined up against Georges St-Pierre, then I would say, I'll fight you after George. But if I haven't got George, then I'm going to have to fight that guy. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of a difficult position. At the end of the day, I just want to fight. This merry-go-round, this circus over the whole Georges St-Pierre thing, Georges St-Pierre, pardon me, it's kind of wearing me down a little bit. You know, am I going to fight? Am I not going to fight? Am I fighting Whittaker? Am I fighting Romero? I know some fans have got disheartened. My word, the amount of grief and abuse, basically, I get on social media is ridiculous. They think I'm ducking people. I've never ducked anyone in my life. Fact of the matter is we had a fight lined up with George. Looks like it's fallen apart. If it has, screw it. I'll take on the #1 contender. I got no problem.
All right, Michael, just to clarify one thing, you said the UFC said he doesn't want to fight. Does that not fight you or not fight period?
He said he doesn't want to fight me.
Oh, you, okay.
Yeah, he said, yes. Apparently he's looking for welterweights now. So, but I'm hearing conflicting.
Yeah, he told Ariel that he hadn't spoken to Dana and he wants to fight you still.
That's what I'm hearing as well. So I'm in the middle. So I've spoken to Dana. So I said to George, believe you me, I said to Dana many times, I want to fight George. And he's like, George doesn't want to fight you. So we have to move on. So I've said to George, listen, I'm backed into a corner. I've said everything I can say. Now it's up to you. Now you've got to speak up and be vocal that you do want to fight me, because I'm not hearing it.
You said, believe you me, I'll give you a cheap plug for your podcast. It's fantastic.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, available on iTunes and elsewhere. Believe you me is a fantastic, best podcast there on the airwaves.
Wow, that's a big claim.
Well, it's a true claim as well. Believe you me, check it out every week. Boom, there you go.
One thing that's undeniable is that there are a lot of fights this week. We've got 2 events, the Ultimate Finale, UFC 213. If you could watch only one of those fights, I mean, forget that you're invested in the middleweight fights, sure, but just watch one fight for entertainment value, which one is it?
Yeah, you know, listen, it's not just because I'm the champion, but for me, or maybe it is, but I'm totally invested in that co-main event of UFC 213, Saturday night, Robert Whittaker taking on Yoel Romero. Of course, that could determine who I'm going to fight next, more than likely will. Yoel Romero is somebody that I'm not a fan of. I like watching him fight. He brings it every time. He has had some spectacular performances, but him as a person I don't respect. I don't respect at all. He's constantly trying to preach to people about religious beliefs when you know, listen, that's all well and good, but we're in the octagon. We're here to fight, and it's entertainment. Leave your religious beliefs at the doors. Certainly don't preach to me. I'm a grown man. I have my own beliefs, and you can say whatever you want, but the guy has a history of performance-enhancing drugs. So I have zero respect for the guy. I'm hoping that Robert Whittaker knocks him out. That will bring me a lot of satisfaction. The only downside of that is that I don't get to knock him out, because when I look at Romero and Whittaker, for that matter, I see 2 very beatable people. I know that everybody thinks, again, that I'm ducking them, which is absolutely nonsense. I see 2 people that I beat relatively comfortably.
A lot of champions talk about how they feel disrespected. You never really talk about that. However, from what a lot of the different fighters say, it seems like you are disrespected. A lot of people think that you're a stepping stone. They're going to walk all over you. Do you feel that way at times?
No, not really. You know, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, facts speak for themselves. People like to talk that. Chris Weidman likes to say things about me. Luke Rockhold would like to say things about me. Luke Rockhold, by the way, hasn't fought since I knocked him out. People like to talk shit. But at the end of the day, nobody on planet Earth has stepped into the octagon more times than me. Nobody on planet Earth has stepped inside the octagon and won more times than me. No one's landed more significant strikes. I'm the first ever British world champion in the UFC. I've been doing this forever. I've never ducked a fight in my life. So they can talk shit from the sidelines all they want. They only wish they had the career that I had. They wish they had half of the career that I've had.
You recently said that they called you with the Dan Henderson fight, like the night after you won, you beat Rockhold, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the people that said that was the fight you were calling for, it's kind of silly, correct?
Yeah, no, absolutely. People criticising me taking the Dan Henderson fight, and people criticising me saying that I'm avoiding fighting because I want to hang on to the belt. When I beat Rockhold, which is Saturday night, on the Monday morning, I'm still hungover from Saturday night, Dana calls me and offers me Dan Henderson. So I accepted the fight. So if I was trying to hang on to the belt for dear life because I'm such an awful fighter.
And you're scared of everybody.
Why would I accept a fight when I'm still hungover celebrating from the last one? I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Since then, I've had 2 goddamn knee surgeries. I've had a long career. I've fought injured many, many times. I'm the champion. I don't want to risk losing that because I've got a stupid injury. So I said, okay, it's time to get this knee sorted out.
UFC 213, we've got 2 title fights. And we've also got a great fight between Fabricio Verdum and Alistair Overeem. Their 3rd time fighting. It's the rubber match. For this particular fight, do you think that the winner is going to take on the champion, or do you think that with Dos Santos and Ngannou planned for UFC 215 in Edmonton, that if Ngannou wins, he's next in line?
You know, that's a difficult one to answer, of course. You know, that's down to the UFC to make those decisions, Dana White.
What would you do?
Well, you know, I mean, they're both, you know, both of those guys, both winners, whoever it is, whether it's Overeem, Verdum, or Ngannou, JDS, They kind of all deserve it. So you know, there's a lot to play for. I think whoever goes out there and wins more spectacularly, in the most spectacular fashion, I think that's who gets the title shot.
UFC on Fox, the pre-shows are airing on TSN. You've got Michael Bisping, Kenny Fleury, and Karen Bryant. You can watch all of those in advance of the Ultimate Fighter finale on Friday, as well as UFC 213, both the prelims and after the main card on TSN. Michael, thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.